Hey guys, what's going on? It's Joey Sena here. We're back to talk about something very important. So, have you ever had trouble lifting your arm over your head like this? And do you feel a pain back here, maybe back behind your shoulder? Yeah, you were probably doing an overhead press with too much weight, okay? So what we're going to talk about today is why you should not be doing heavy overhead presses for just about any reason unless you are a highly competitive bodybuilder or you are a highly competitive powerlifter. The reason why I say that is the risk of injury is just too great by doing a heavy overhead shoulder press. Now, first of all, when you decide what exercise you want to do, you need to decide what your goal is. So if your goal is to perform with an overhead press in a sports movement, whether it be bodybuilding or, well, bodybuilding is not really, it's not a lifting sport, right? It's an appearance sport. Or if you're doing powerlifting, then in that case, you might want to do a heavy overhead press. But most people, you don't need to do a heavy overhead press. And the reason why is it's just too much risk for the reward. Now, what I want to show you in today's video, instead of doing a heavy overhead press, I'm going to show you how to do overhead presses correctly with the right amount of weight you need, with the right form that you need to have to target that front shoulder. What are we trying to do when we do overhead press, right? That's the question. So most people are trying to develop the front shoulder muscle group, maybe a little bit of upper chest. Mostly you're trying to develop the front shoulder. So there's plenty of alternatives we can do to develop the front shoulder. You're going to see how it works. Instead of a heavy overhead press, we're going to go through 5 exercises. These 5 exercises are going to be a standing Arnold press, okay? It's going to be a basic front raise. We're going to show you that. It's going to be an underhanded front raise, a seated Arnold press with moderate to, well, let's say light to moderate weight. And then we're going to finish it up with a, guess what, an incline bench press, all right? And I'm going to show you why each of these exercises can be really, really good for your front shoulder development as opposed to doing a heavy overhead press. Because odds are, guys, if you feel that pain back here in your rotator cuff, there's a good chance that you partially tore your rotator cuff. It's happened to me before, so learn from me. Don't do what I did, which is I did a heavy Arnold press with, I think it was like 85 pounds in each hand, a dumbbell press here coming up, and then this arm just started trailing off over here because my rotator cuff joint could not handle the stress and it started partially tearing. So what we're going to do is go over those 5 exercises and help you avoid that pit trap of having to rehab your shoulder and not lift with your upper body for 4 to 6 weeks or even longer. So the whole goal of training is to be able to train more. We do not want to train less. We want to train more to see more results. So with that being said, these are the 5 exercises we're going to take you through to develop that front shoulder. You're going to get plenty of shoulder development from these exercises. And again, unless you are in a highly competitive powerlifting sport or bodybuilding sport, even bodybuilders probably, a lot of them will omit this exercise, at least a heavy overhead press from their regimen, just because the risk is too much. Now, there is another exercise that is not on here due to equipment limitations at the moment. It would be a Smith machine overhead press. Now, Smith machine is, you've seen that machine at the gym. We're rolling some video of how it looks. And basically, that's on a fixed plane. So your shoulders cannot trail off. And you can put plenty of stress on that front shoulder area. So in that case, that would be an awesome alternative as well. I'll roll in some video on how to show you that. So you could really maybe call this 6 exercises, but I'm going to personally show you 5 today. And then we'll take you through those. And then we'll wrap it up and go over everything else. All right, so this is maybe my favorite movement for developing the front shoulders. As you can see, the stress that we're getting on that muscle with this underhand front raise. And the reason why I like this one so much is because we are really stressing those muscle fibers and that front shoulder area. As you can see, all the striations and the blood flow and the activation of that muscle. As you can see maybe in slow motion how that muscle activates all the way up and down. So the reason why this is so effective is because we're activating that front shoulder without stressing our rotator cuff joints really at all. As you can see, looking up and down, so you want to have your hands underneath, basically coming up, out, away from your body. So the first thing you want to do is go away from your body and up. Not up and out, think out and up with those hands underneath like that. And then you're going to go to about eye level and back down. Try not to swing those weights at all. So sometimes you'll see me swing. We all can cheat a little bit on accident. So make sure to keep yourself strict. Bring those arms up to the eyeballs and back down. And what's going to happen is you're going to make sure the load is placed on those front shoulders, not so much the momentum of the movement, and there's no core or swinging involved. All right. Okay, now we're going to go into my second favorite movement for developing the front shoulder, which is the standing Arnold Press. And the reason why we call it the Arnold Press is after the Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, bodybuilder, actor, etc., etc. And what we're doing is we're standing up, keeping our chest out, our core relatively tight. Bring those hands straight down by your shoulder. See how they come right down by your shoulder all the way? And then drive up, rotate them, bring them down, drive up, rotate them. Don't move the plane of the dumbbell. Keep the plane straight up and down. So don't go wider or closer together. Just go straight up, rotate, and down. And that's activating that front shoulder area very well. And again, in this case, it's 30 pounds each arm. We are not overly stressing the rotator cuff. We are really just getting that strong activation, that deep muscle activation in that front shoulder, that front deltoid area, as you can see by the video, what we're achieving with that. Okay, a little more obvious low joint impact front deltoid movement would be this dumbbell alternating front raise. So alternating, we're going left and then right. Key here, do not swing the weights up and down, and don't cross alternate. So don't move one while the other's moving. The other one comes all the way up, all the way down, and then the other one comes all the way up and all the way down. And again, from the video, you can see we're getting plenty of front deltoid activation. This one is doing all the things we need it to do with very, very minimal stress on the joint. As you can see, the tempo is very medium, very deliberate in all these movements. Everything is deliberate, and that's how we achieve the muscle activation that we want. See, up, so go out and up and down, out and up and down. And just go about shoulder height with each arm. Turn that thumb slightly inward and bring down. So that thumb comes slightly inward and then down. In this case, we're using those 30-pound dumbbells again. Okay, now come those lovely seated Arnold presses. Now this is a little more traditional front shoulder workout, the seated overhead press, right? But in this case, look, we're using 30 pounds. Look how slow the tempo is on this. We're going up about 1, 2.5, down 2.5. Okay, that's about your tempo in this particular movement. Again, 30-pound dumbbells. Again, those hands come right down by your shoulder all the way down. Now watch when they come all the way down, that last little sink down, and that's how we activate those deep front deltoid muscle fibers down there and really develop that area. Make sure that we're getting the most out of this workout. Breathe out on the way up and on the way down. Again, very deliberate. If you need to use lighter weight to do, say, 12 to 15 reps in this case, then use lighter weight. All right, we don't want to overstress that joint, especially on these overhead presses. That's the whole idea behind what we're doing. Now, maybe even more traditional is a incline dumbbell press. Now, the reason why I say this, for so many of you, you're going to have front shoulders and front deltoids developed already because you're doing an incline press. Now, watch how this happens here. So we have our core properly activated and placed on this. Our chest is out, our elbows are out. They're not too far out like a T, but as you can see, we're getting plenty of upper chest, upper pectoral activation. And that front deltoid will come right along. Many of you actually may need to stop doing these for fear of overdeveloping your front deltoids, but this is really just to show you that we can do these movements. This most basic movement will develop your front shoulder without overloading the rotator cuff. This one is a lot safer for your shoulder joints and see development in that front deltoid area without overloading your joints and getting you injured. So we do not want that. So this one really works. Odds are you're doing this one anyway. That's why we included all the other exercises to show you other alternatives. All right, guys, so we just showed you those 5 exercises to work out your front shoulders and develop your front shoulders that are going to minimize your risk of injury. And again, we don't want to say to not do a heavy overhead press. Well, for 95 to 99% of you, we do want to say to avoid doing a heavy overhead press because for that percentage of you, you do not need to do this exercise to fully develop your front shoulder, or at least fairly adequately develop your front shoulder to the point where you want. Most of you watching this, we want to look good. We're not training for a specific sport where we're going to lift something over our head. So just to reiterate that point, right? So we showed you the 5 workouts that are going to help you do that. Share this with a friend, guys. If you want to like, share, subscribe to this video or the channel, go ahead. And then also remember, if you have a friend that needs to work on these after they're fully recovered from their injury, or maybe start doing this before, actually 100% do these before you get injured. But if someone has already been injured, unfortunately, after they're fully recovered, after however many months of rest, they can do these exercises to develop those front shoulder workouts, all right? So again, those 5 movements are going to help you out quite a bit. And let's have fun, guys, and stay buff.